You know what you're listening to?
Next question.
It's Dan Patrick On Demand. Thank you. Here he is, joined by the Danettes. It's Dan Patrick.
Boy, that's mean-spirited by Bob. Yeah, Seton.
Please say his name again.
Yeah,
so
his name is
all shrapnel off of us.
Yeah, his name is Bob Schmidt. He's the one that is in charge of our opens to the show.
Robert A. Schmidt at A.
Yeah, do we have his phone number to give out to Michigan fans? Because Michigan fans are saying, "Oh yeah, but you're an Ohio State fan. That's why you're doing it." No, I had nothing to do with that. Even though it's my show, my name, I can fire Bob if you want me to.
We're all getting nervous.
Got Jim Harbaugh at his press conference, and then sound effects of somebody crying.
Oh, that was a sound effect?
Yeah, that's not Harbaugh.
Oh,
no.
Well, no, obviously it's not Harbaugh. He's speaking. Maybe there's somebody in the room with him. Maybe not.
Yes, Paulie.
If Bob doesn't open making fun of Alabama fans, I'm leaving the building and the state. No chance.
Yeah.
I'm moving my family.
Yeah, I know. Have to have Feinbaum as an intermediary there. All right, welcome to the program. It's hour 2. So much for Thanksgiving.
Hey, Tide, why roll anywhere? Why don't you just walk or run?
Yeah, Fritzy's not back. He's still recovering from his surgery, and Bob is making fun of Fritzy and his Broncos. They lose in dramatic fashion last night.
You know, I wish that we could put out there, you should hear the stuff that we do actually reject.
Oh, my God.
Where we're like, you know what, dude, I'm sorry, this just goes too far. We just can't play this on the air.
Seton will sometimes forget to tell me that we've changed the open to the show, and I'll say, wait, we ran this last week. He goes, you don't want to hear what Bob came up with. And I went, okay. Yeah, Paulie.
Every morning when I come in, Seton has his headphones on, so we don't talk very much at the start. And I hear him go, oh, my. Oh, my.
I'd be like, hey, guys, can I play something for you real quick?
Yeah.
Just want to get your thoughts on this.
All right. We talked to Matthew Stafford from My Lions in the first hour, and we recap the last couple of days. Got a couple of phone calls, best and worst of the weekend. We're going to talk college football with Bruce Feldman from Fox Sports. He'll join us coming up. Texas has a new head coach. Will Oregon have a new head coach? I like that Jimbo Fisher. You know, these coaches, they'll move. It doesn't matter. There's no loyalty here. You just throw away all your, Florida State garb or your Houston garb or whatever it is. The Jimbo Fisher, hey, I'm not leaving Florida State. All right, here's my offer here. I'll go to LSU, but this is what I want. Oh, you're not going to give it to me? Of course I'm staying at Florida State. Tom Herman gave Houston hope. Gave hope. I didn't think he was staying. He gave them hope. You didn't get into the Big 12, and I thought that was the end of that. So he's going to Texas, taking over for Charlie Strong, who did deserve better, at least somehow a politer way to give him an exit. That's the only thing I would say with that. Did he lose games that were embarrassing? Yes. But I thought they left him hanging there. Hanging out to dry. Yes, McLovin.
That's so surprising that Texas would block Houston from coming in the Big 12 so they could get their coach and keep that recruiting edge. That's not like Texas to manipulate the system.
Well, there were a few other Big 12 teams that didn't want Houston in the Big 12.
But we know who's driving the ship there.
All right.
By the way, I saw a thing on Herman. You know what the first thing he did when he took over at Ohio State?
I don't know if you drive a ship, but, I get what you're saying.
He stole J.T. Barrett from Texas when he got to Ohio State. That was his first big recruit. And I think Texas is still a little bitter. Why am I ripping Texas? I love Texas, by the way. We had a debate while you were gone, Dan. Why is Texas considered that elite program? Does their actual on-field product equal the prestige?
It hasn't, but they make a lot of money. Still a powerful player in college football. They got their own network. I've never seen that network. I just know they have their own. It always sounds like, it's very impressive. They got their own network. Okay. Yes, Ed.
Yeah. I've never seen that network before.
I haven't seen it, but they got their own network.
Is that Joey Harrington there?
Yeah, I feel like I actually know people that allegedly work there.
Oh, yeah, I haven't seen it. Now, do they show, like, Texas volleyball? And
Yes.
They show everything?
All types of
They have to
athletic
show all their sports there?
Yes.
Yeah.
There's the great show Pimp My Ride with Major Applewhite. It's a late night show.
Pimp My Longhorn.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, it's great. All right, we got a poll question, I think. Don't we, McLevin?
Well, actually, I put it up for Rich Eisen, who's coming on later. Is Michigan one of the best 4 teams in the country? And 60% said yes. But I guess that doesn't matter.
You have 2 teams in the Big Ten that are going to be ranked higher than the other teams, and they're not even playing for the Big Ten championship. So what do we have? Penn State and Wisconsin playing for the Big Ten championship? Meanwhile, Ohio State's going to be in the Final Four. You're crazy. Crazy. Yes, McLovin.
I also threw out on DP Show Twitter, if you're going to have an NFL Final Four, who would it be? There's a lot of Patriots, a lot of Raiders, a lot of Cowboys.
Well, I just need the 4th team.
A lot of people said the Giants, Dan. What a team that you like that we didn't mention early.
Yes, he.
Just a quick update.
Yeah.
I went through DirecTV, channel 677, Longhorn Network. Real thing. Right now, we've got number 14, Texas, taking on Northwestern State, women's basketball.
Women's basketball.
Is that live?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're up 54-14. Or, excuse me,
I don't think that's live, Paulie.
Not live.
Yeah, I don't
we don't want
think
to spoil it for anybody.
No. Spoiler alert there.
Brooke McCarty, 2 for 5 from 3.
I'd take the over on this one.
Yeah. Jim Harbaugh was upset with the officiating with Ohio State, Michigan. I understand some of his concerns, but that's not why they lost his football game. Here is Jim Harbaugh, who never stops competing.
Bitterly disappointed with the officiating today. That spot, the graphic display is the interference penalties. The one not called on us, on Grant Perry, clearly was being hooked before the ball got there. And the previous penalty they called on Delano Hill, the ball is uncatchable and by the receiver. See, I'm bitterly disappointed in the officiating. Can't make that any more clear. It was not. My view of the first down was it was that short.
Bo Schembechler used to use the term bitterly disappointed. So Harbaugh's channeling his inner Bo Schembechler, so no accident there. But I understand if you look at the disparity in flags that were thrown. I'm amazed at some of the things. I didn't think the spot was fair to Michigan with Barrett. The pass interference, I didn't think was a good call. But I still think Michigan, you dominate the game. You have yourself to blame because you threw it away. A couple interceptions, a fumble. You threw it away. You gave it away. The refs didn't help you, but you hurt yourself. Yes, Paulie.
Ohio State, Michigan on noon on a Saturday drew 17 million viewers.
But it's always been early. I remember it's always been early. I don't know if Ohio State, Michigan's ever been later, but I always remember you start that weekend and it's at noon, and I loved it. I thought it gets you're in right. Then I'm watching USC Notre Dame after that. USC's good. I don't know what bowl game, probably the Rose Bowl, maybe against Wisconsin, but USC's good. They're dangerous, really dangerous. And there's chatter about Brian Kelly. Is he going to leave? They've already talked about how the athletic department has his back, but I don't know if this is preemptive. I don't know if he's looking at other jobs. But we'll talk to Bruce Feldman from Fox Sports. Here is Brian Kelly with his plans for the offseason.
I'll be back. Mike Birch had brought it up. I guess there was some discussion as to why I'm coming back early. I don't believe I'm coming back early because I'm getting fired. Jack and I always meet, at the end of the year. I want to do some exit interviews with our players because I haven't been able to do that because I stay on the West Coast for the whole week, and then we get into bowl practice. Well, obviously we don't have bowl practice, and then they go into exams. So I'm going to use next Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday to do exit interviews so I can spend a little time and get some feedback from our players in terms of some of the things that we may need to adjust within our program.
Jack Swarbrick, the athletic director, is who he was referring to. Now, there was talk over the weekend after the loss to USC that Brian Kelly might, or his representatives might be exploring other options here. How about if Brian Kelly and Chip Kelly just switch jobs? How would that help things out here a little bit? Chip's not able to coach in the pros, so he could coach in college, and then Brian may be done with college, wants to try the pros there. And what's Oregon do? Those are some of that's my curiosity here. All right, a couple of phone calls. Matt in Tennessee. Hey, Matt, welcome to the program. Best and worst of the weekend.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, bud.
My best of the weekend is that Chicago wide receivers couldn't hold on to the ball at all.
Well.
And My worst of the weekend is Titan secondary. It should have been a 3-4 touchdown win easily.
Yeah, but you got the win, and I thought Matt Barkley looked good. They got some young receivers there with Chicago. Thank you, Matt. But Mariota's playing well. Tennessee, it's one of those that you should beat the Bears, and then you hold on to beat the Bears. And I thought Barkley looked really good there. Yeah, Paulie.
This guy has it all wrong. The Bears receivers thinking long term for the franchise, ensuring that we have the third pick in the draft. You don't want to drop to the 6th pick.
Are they drafting a quarterback? If they're in the top 5, the Bears drafting a quarterback.
Is there a top 5 guy right now?
McLovin?
I've heard people say no, that there's a lot of developmental guys. But then again, last year it was like that too. Then Goff and Wentz.
I wouldn't draft a quarterback. If I'm the Bears, I have to have a guy that I know is flat out, this guy starts from day one. And by the way, Jared Goff looked good. Isn't it amazing that 3 weeks ago he couldn't play, and now he threw 3 touchdown passes? But Tony Dungy and Rodney Harrison both said the same thing. Go out there, make your mistakes. You guys aren't any good. Go out and make your mistakes. I worried about his confidence, though. That if he didn't have a running game and he didn't have any weapons, that he was going to get roughed up there. And Tony said, you got to go out there and get roughed up a little bit. So that's their take on it. I don't agree with it. I thought that maybe Goff is playing when I thought he would play. I really thought that after their bye week, I thought that he was going to play. And I thought he looked pretty good yesterday. He had his moments. First touchdown passes, that's big-time stuff. Yeah, McLovin.
I thought the Rams' defense was awesome.
So did I.
What happened?
Okay. Do you think Sean Payton wanted to run up the score on Greg Williams, his former defensive coordinator, who cost him $8 million because of Bountygate? Yeah, I got that feeling. He wanted to put a 50 burger on him. They only got to 49 there. Yeah, I thought I would say that would enter into the picture. But Drew Brees is incredible. 4 touchdown passes. He's amazing. Week in and week out. Amazing. And we rarely say, when you start talking about the best quarterbacks in the game, it's Brees is, oh, by the way. Oh, yeah, Drew Brees. Is he underrated? Right? All right, Bruce Feldman, Fox Sports, will join us. More of your phone calls. Best and worst of the weekend, 877-3DP show. Rich Eisen, Michigan apologist, host of the NFL Network, will join us coming up as well. Packers-Eagles tonight. It's a big game for both, but even bigger, I think, for the Packers, because all eyes will be watching Monday night game, and let's see what Aaron Rodgers can do. 19 after the hour, this is the Dan Patrick Show.
At Great Clips, we understand every minute counts. That's why Great Clips has online check-in. Save time every time. Save 4 minutes before your haircut. You can use your time machine. Where'd it go? Save 5. Take a quick shower.
Hot! Too hot!
Save 14 minutes. Call your mom. Let's call her back later. You get priceless minutes for free when you use Great Clips online check-in. Download the free app or visit greatclips.com. It's gonna be great. Oh, you're back! How was 1986?
Oh, man. All right, more of your phone calls coming up. Best and worst of the weekend. McLovin's got his poll question, and that is Michigan
Are they one of the best 4 teams in the country? Yes or no?
Okay. All right, Bruce Feldman from Fox Sports will join us. We'll hit him with that question. Packers-Eagles coming up tonight. Let's see. Is the Heisman race open, or is it slightly open there? Lamar Jackson losing to Kentucky didn't look good. I don't know if Baker Mayfield with a big win over Oklahoma State, Deshaun Watson a win over Virginia Tech. I don't know if they can sneak in. Let's bring in Bruce Feldman, who joins us now. He covers college football for Fox Sports. Let me start with the poll question, Bruce. Is Michigan a Final Four team?
They're going to need some help, Dan. I really think when you look at how things have set up, just the loss here, a lot of people are going to go, oh, well, they dominated Ohio State on the road. The problem is they had turnovers, they lost the game.
But are they one of the 4 best teams in the country?
Right now, it's hard to argue to me that a 2-loss Michigan team, having just lost to Ohio State, having lost a couple of games, quite honestly, down the stretch, would have a better resume, be more deserving, or look like a more complete team than Alabama, who's dominated, I think Ohio State's in very good position with what they've done, including that blowout win against Oklahoma early in the season. And then you have Clemson there with a chance to wrap up the ACC. You have Washington with a chance to beat a Colorado team in the Pac-12 title game that, by the way, Michigan already beat. I think those 4 teams are in the best position. Michigan, like I said, is going to need a lot of help. Now, having said that, if you get some craziness this weekend, and it's not that far-fetched to think Virginia Tech could knock off Clemson and Colorado could knock off Washington, you could get a scenario. I think it's a little remote, but you could get a scenario where you have 3 Big Ten teams making the Final Four, and one of those would be Michigan.
Would we be okay with that, whereas we would be crying and cringing and yelling if it was the SEC, it was the other way around?
That's a great point. Like, we did our roundtable show on Fox the other night, and when that started to seem a lot more plausible than I think many of us suspected, my thing with it was, would the committee, which is supposed to just not factor in certain things like that, like how it looks, outside, would they be able to stomach that? Would they say, you know what, doesn't matter, we're going through it? I don't know the answer to that. I mean, I'm not sure anybody knows the answer to that, and unless we get that scenario, we won't find out. I think it's one thing to have 2 teams in. No one, I think, saw 3 teams, certainly from the Big Ten, as a possible scenario before the start of the season.
How good is USC right now?
They're terrific. Sam Darnold has been a revelation for them, the redshirt freshman quarterback. If they played Alabama again, I don't think they'd beat them, but I know they'd give them a better game. You got Clancy Pendergast, the defensive coordinator, has done a terrific job there, and they got a lot of athletes. They're big up front. Quietly, Clay Helton has done a very nice job, and I think the key thing when they had that brutal September was, from what I was always told, he never lost the team, and they battled through, and like I said, Darnold was a big help. And let's keep in mind, they did play arguably the hardest schedule in the country, 11 teams that went to bowl games last year, and I think the one team that didn't go to a bowl game, that's Colorado, who won the Pac-12 South. So that's a pretty impressive run they got.
He's Bruce Feldman, covers college football for Fox Sports, joining us on the program. Texas gets Tom Herman. Is Tom? I like him. I just don't know after 2 years if we know how good a coach he is. What is Texas getting here?
They're getting a dynamic offensive mind. I mean, he really helped Urban Meyer immensely, but he is a great game planner. I want to go back even before he got to Ohio State, when a lot of people never heard of him. He was the offensive coordinator at Iowa State on that Friday night when they basically ruined Oklahoma State's chance to play for the national title game. I mean, he is a brilliant offensive mind. He is a very good motivator. He did a terrific job of connecting with the players. I think he is one of these guys who I think gets big picture stuff. But goes back to your point, though, he's only had 2 years as a head coach. Short of Nick Saban and Urban Meyer, I don't think there's any sure things of guys who are going to, have their teams competing for national titles. But he knows he walks into a very ripe situation. That team, I did a bunch of Texas games this year. Start 9 sophomores on defense, had a freshman quarterback, 3 young offensive linemen start. They're set up to be a top 10 team next year. They just needed to mature more. I think Tom Herman will help. I think he will focus them a lot more, because they were dealing with a lot of issues that I think they were struggling with, of trying almost too hard for Charlie Strong, and I think that he will kind of bring them through that, and that's a big piece in this. And by the way, he goes into a Big 12 league that's a lot easier to I don't say to dominate, but to win big in than it would be if he went to an SEC school.
If LSU loses to Texas A&M, who's the head coach at LSU?
Oh, great question. I don't know. Maybe it's Larry Fedora. Maybe it's Mike Gundy.
Is it that tenuous, though, Bruce, that Ed Orgeron is not going to get it if he loses to A&M?
I think it wouldn't just lose. I think a big piece here for Joel Even, I actually went to that A&M LSU game Thanksgiving night. It was that they had this kind of what seemed like a heartbreaking loss. A lot of people had written Orgeron's chances off, after they lose to Florida on the last play. And then, he's without Leonard Fournette, their best player. He's without 2 of their best defensive players. They're on the road. A&M gets back their starting quarterback, who a lot of people didn't think was going to play, and so it felt like, oh, you know what, they're going to kind of stub their toe again going down the stretch, and they really blew the Aggies off the field. And I think everybody around LSU knew Orgeron's a great recruiter. I think they realized not just that he's a terrific motivator who connected with the players, but also the way he managed the program, which is, I'll be honest, I was around him for 2 years when I worked on a recruiting book back when he was a head coach for the first time at Ole Miss. He's way different now than he was then, and I think they were looking for reasons to keep him, as opposed to when he was at USC under Pat Hayden. They were looking for every opportunity not to keep him, and I think that was enough. And let's be honest, college football is a very fickle sport when you're dealing with the kind of ups and downs when you're managing 18 and 19-year-olds, and your livelihood depends on how they perform and focus.
Hearing a little bit of chatter about Lane Kiffin's future, is there any chance Lane Kiffin would actually go to LSU to work with Ed Orgeron?
I think there's a real chance that happens. A couple of reasons. Now they've worked together for a long time. They are pretty close. I think the opportunity to have more flexibility, a big difference in Orgeron now as opposed to 10 years ago when he was a head coach. He has given, it's a 180. He trusts his assistants and lets them coach, lets them do their thing. He does not meddle. He used to be that way and be way overbearing. He is not that way. I think as great as the relationship has worked out on the field for Lane Kiffin and Nick Saban, 3 years, 3 different starting quarterbacks, and they've been terrific, in the end of it. I think that there's a shelf life for guys who work under Nick Saban, and I think that added flexibility, added freedom. Also, it's a chance for Lane Kiffin, from what I'm told, also maybe to come out to Southern California, just where his family is, to get a little more opportunity to see them. And I don't want to say it's a lower pressure situation, but I think the environment is a little different. And also, keep in mind, LSU didn't have to pay Ed Orgeron $6 million a year. They're probably going to pay him half that. A lot of that money can go towards retaining Dave Aranda, a great defensive coordinator who Tom Herman also knows and is close to, and also it could go to say, hey, we can get Lane Kiffin, we could get Dave Aranda close to $2 million a year as coordinators. That's a big selling point too.
All right, Oregon situation.
Very fluid from what I'm told. I don't think that Rob Mullins, the AD, or the people he kind of turns to had really decided for sure whether they were going to move on from Mark Helfrich. I think it helped Helfrich immensely, the performance they got a week ago when they upset Utah. Now, obviously, it would have helped him even more if he could have beaten Oregon State. They didn't. I mean, this goes back a little to your point a minute ago about how kind of fragile it is. You win, you keep, and whatever. I expect we'll get some kind of decision either tomorrow night or Wednesday about do they go on with another year for Helfrich. Remember, this guy won 33 games in his first 3 years. I mean, he's definitely had a down year. They've been really bad on defense for a while, but they do have a freshman quarterback who's very promising, really young offensive line. The question that they have to decide is, was this just a hiccup and we're going to bounce back and win 8 or 9 games, or is this not the right guy to lead us out of this? Because they will have to pay him a lot of money on a buyout if they choose to make this move and pull the plug on Helfrich now.
Real quickly, Les Miles, Purdue?
I think there's a chance of that. I had heard for the last couple of weeks that Purdue would have loved to have had P.J. Fleck from Western Michigan. I think there's been, in recruiting terms, he's slow played that. I think Les is a candidate there. He could be a candidate at Baylor as well, because I think if you're looking for a different kind of leadership and maybe to flip the page on all of this stuff that's gone on with Baylor, Les Miles could do that. But I think people are going to look. I know he will be open to changing what he's about on offense, but right now it's got to be the right fit. I know he really wants to get back and coach. I don't think anybody wants to end up on the Houston nut path where you kind of maybe passed over some lower level jobs that you didn't think you would take, and then all of a sudden you're out and you can't get back in. So I know he really wants to get back in. It's just a question of what's the fit for him here.
Thank you, Bruce. Good to talk to you.
Always a pleasure, Dan. Thank you.
That's Bruce Feldman, Fox Sports. Yeah, the Oregon situation's interesting. Les Miles with Baylor, also P.J. Fleck from Western Michigan. does he leave after this incredible season? And they're gonna play in the Cotton Bowl. But this is where you have to make that decision, and it's tough because you have to go in there and see those kids who have helped you get to this point, and then you have to say, I'm going to do something that helps me, that's better for me, that changes my life. I don't know where that is. Is it Purdue? Is it something bigger than that? But I'm not going to be surprised if he's not there next year. Our best and worst of the weekend coming up, and it's one of our favorites. It's Whose Stats Would You Want? We'll have that for you coming up as well.
What's the best thing you've bought for $3.99? I bought CISO. CISO has a nearly endless supply of top-shelf comedy, literally months' worth of exclusive originals, face-melting stand-up, next-day late night, and a great catalog of classics. We all have our own unique tastes. I, myself, love all of it. British late-night talk shows especially. With CISO, it's your comedy. Get your comedy the way you want it. CISO is the place for comedy. They won't tell you how amazing they are, but we will. CISO is amazing. It's comedy for comedy nerds by comedy nerds. You want the best new original comedy? You want CISO. CISO is spelled S-E-E-S-O. It's the new ad-free streaming service bringing you hilarious original series, hand-picked classics, weeks of stand-up specials, and more. Bingeable comedy anytime, anywhere, like Take My Wife and Harmon Quest to all 40-plus years of SNL. CISO, the only place that offers every episode ever made and the new episodes the day after they air. Just go to CISO, SEESO.com right now to sign up for 2 months free with promo code PODCAST1 at checkout. That's CISO.com, promo code PODCAST1.
My name is Anthony Ponce, and I used to be a reporter on NBC. But I got tired of being part of traditional news media, so I quit that job and became a Lyft driver. And now I interview whatever passengers end up in my back seat. So if you want to hear the best stories that real people tell me when we're driving around the city, check out my podcast. It's called Backseat Rider on podcast1.com, the Podcast One app, and iTunes.
By the way, Cam Newton got his first roughing the passer call since 2014. How about that? Yeah. No. You're way too late on that. Come on.
I'm ready for Whose Stats Do You Want? Not a random impromptu stat of the day.
Bob. Yeah, that's nice there. Cam Newton finally got his first roughing the passer call. Wait, did they call it on Cam Newton or did he actually call it on the defense? That's what I'd like to know here. All right, we have our best and worst of the weekend, and it's one of our favorite. It's Whose Stats Would You Want? Seton, hit the theme music for Whose Stats Would You Want?
Whose stats do you want?
It's Dean in Milwaukee.
Is it?
Well done, Dean.
Yeah.
Dan, whose stats would you want? Hold on, let me check these numbers real quick. Yeah. Give me a second here.
Whose stats would you want, huh? You can leave your stats behind. And if you've no stats, well, now you've got stats, and those stats are mine.
All right, let's get right to whose stats would... Just give me a second.
Whose stats? Whose stats would you want? Tell me. Whose stats? Whose stats would you want?
Then, of course, there's a message to the back row that we always have to work in.
When the stats are nice and the salary's bumping. Hey, yippee-yi-yo. And everybody starting to call. Yippee-yi-yo. Tell Paul start name dropping. Hey, suck it back, bro. When Dan answers the call, he's gonna shout out, whose stats do you want?
Okay, Dan. Whose stats would you want? These two quarterbacks. This quarterback has led the league in passing yardage 7 times, led the league in completion percentage 4 times, led the league in TD passes thrown 5 times. Over the course of his career, he averaged 283 passing yards a game. This quarterback led the league in passing yardage 3 times, led the league in completion percentage twice, led the league in TD passes thrown 4 times. He averaged 270 passing yards for his career. Whose stats would you want? And who are these two gentlemen?
I'm going to go. The first one is Drew Brees.
That's right.
Peyton Manning is the second one.
Peyton Manning is the second one. Drew Brees outdoes him in passing yardage, completion percentage, and TD passes and yardage per game for his career.
How about that?
Yeah, I'm not joking around today.
How about that, Mike?
Yeah, not joking around. Yes, McLovin.
I thought it was Tom Brady. I don't know why. They're about the same, I'd imagine.
And Drew Brees is not slowing down either. He's having one of his better years of his career.
He's got 30 touchdown passes, I think, now.
Leading the league in yardage and touchdowns.
Yeah. crazy. Yeah, McLovin.
I'm at war with a new passing stat, by the way, I don't like. It's not a new, I think completion percentage is a new overblown passing stat. Based on Thanksgiving, Sam Bradford hit every single pass, and that was the worst passing attack I've ever seen.
Well, I think that the passing attack has become the running game. I'd like to know if you were going to do completion percentage and you did it 10 yards and then you did 15, then you did 20, and then you did further than that. I'd like to know your completion percentage. Yes, Paulie.
Remember last year at this time, for about 2 weeks, we asked different quarterbacks and different analysts the single most important stat for a quarterback. We even asked Matt Stafford because we had him on last year.
Yeah.
Third down completion percentage and red zone
efficiency.
Red zone efficiency, touchdown, interception.
Yeah.
That was the popular answers.
Yeah. All right, best and worst of the weekend. Paulie, I'll start with you.
Dan, of course, last night I was watching the Grey Cup, the CFL football's Grey Cup. My Ottawa Red Blacks beat the Calgary Stampeders 39-33 in overtime. Great game. Henry Burris, former NFL quarterback, I think he's like 41 years old, led the Red Blacks.
All right.
Did you watch any of that? Or you were a little busy.
No, I was too busy. Yeah.
My other best of the weekend is the academies. Navy, Army, and Air Force are all above 500. Navy is a top 25 team. They beat some great teams this year. Air Force is good. Army's respectable again. So it's a really great year for the service academies, football-wise.
McLovin.
My best is going to be Kirk Cousins, threw for 440-something. He's on pace for 5,136 passing yards this year. He's going to get paid.
I'm not big on pace 4, but continue.
The worst is going to be the Ravens. Not that they did all that intentional holding on the final play of the game to get a safety. I thought going chokehold on some of the Bengals players, I thought that was way too much. I thought they could have done it in a more nice way. And I think that it's going to come back and hit them. Karma.
But they did this in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But I like how John Harbaugh is always complaining that Bill Belichick finds loopholes in the rule book, and then here he is finding a loophole in the rule book. Seton O'Connor, Patriot apologist.
I'm going to change this up a little bit on you guys. One, my best is going to be a best. I had a major revelation this weekend that may be kind of obvious to most people, but it hit me like a ton of bricks. But first, I want to ask you guys if this moment is a best or a worst.
Okay.
It's Ravens kicker Justin Tucker.
You guys smell it? It smells like up dog. What's up, dog? Nothing much, man. So do you.
Is that a best or a worst? I can't really
I think
decide.
it's worst. I mean, my kids do that.
That's why it's funny. Adults doing stupid humor.
I felt like maybe he lost a bet or something.
No.
And then it was like, oh, man, that's great. He had to pay off the bet. That's so funny. But it also made me feel kind of icky in like a way of like, oh, what did you just do?
Yeah.
What's up, dog?
Yeah.
You guys smell it? It smells like up dog. What's up, dog? Nothing much, man. So do you.
Boom. Gotcha.
Yeah. Got to have the straight guy in the room, though, to help you out there.
What's up, dog? Bang.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Is that your best and worst?
Well, that was sort of like I had a massive revelation this weekend, and it like stopped me like dead in my tracks where I was like, oh my God, I can't believe this is true.
Is this worth holding over?
You recognize that song? Thunderstruck.
Yeah.
AC/DC?
Yeah.
AC/DC is a great band. They're awesome.
That's the revelation?
Yes. I was always like, oh yeah, AC/DC, they're okay. These songs are great.
Okay, now I'm concerned for you.
I've put it on the Twitter yesterday, and people were like, dude, what's wrong with you?
Isn't there a bit where somebody took an AC/DC songs all sound the same?
Right.
And then they had somebody was singing something about something goofy and sounding like AC/DC.
Well, Jim Brewer is a big AC/DC guy.
Yeah, Paulie.
AC/DC to me is kind of like the late 70s, early 80s Ramones, where they're great and all their songs sound the same. Like when you put it on, in 3 seconds, I know it's a Ramones
But they
song.
weren't transcend. They weren't doing anything different like the Ramones were.
Well, yes, I'm just saying from a set listening standpoint, you know an AC/DC song in 3 seconds.
I'm still amazed that Angus Young still dresses like a little schoolboy, and he's got to be in his, 60s out there? Just pounding away, man. I don't think I ever saw him in concert.
Oh, man, don't you want to now? There's something about... I was in my car with my 6-year-old son, and we were listening to this, and I was like, dude, these songs are awesome. Before I knew it, I was going like 90 miles an hour in my car. Like, oh my God, I have to slow down. It was like, it just gets you going. AC/DC's a great band.
What's the next? Oh, by the way, I have a rock and roll band, the greatest, one of the great rock and roll bands of all time. I got a story for you coming up after this.
Did you know that if you signed up for football season tickets in Green Bay, you'd be on the waiting list for 30 years? Or Pittsburgh, the only city where all major sports teams share the same color? Here's another thing you might not know, something that's actually really helpful. TrueCar also helps people get used cars. I'm a big used car buyer. Just picked up a 05 Subaru Forester. It's awesome. TrueCar isn't just for new cars. Their certified dealer network also has the inventory of over 7,000 pre-owned cars nationwide. So whether you buy a used car or you get real pricing on actual inventory, better buying experience through TrueCar's certified dealer network, there's another fun fact. TrueCar customers can see if they're getting a good price or a great price before buying. They're also more likely to enjoy the buying process when they connect to a TrueCar certified dealer. You know what you get, you trust what you got. So when you're ready to buy a used car or a new car, visit TrueCar to enjoy a better buying experience. I went there. I was looking all over for a Subaru 05 Forester, the LL Bean edition seating, and it's awesome. Get it now. Check out TrueCar.com. Some features not available in all states. Go to TrueCar.com today. TrueCar.com.
Stay tuned for 60 seconds of AP News headlines right after this podcast.
Dwayne Wade and Reggie Aloysius Miller on the program tomorrow. Apparently there's some issue with the Walmart commercial that ran on Thanksgiving night with the Danettes, and we shot this 2 weeks ago. But Paulie says there is a problem. Yes, Paulie.
Well, so we tweeted out, all the Dan Patrick Show guys here and the DP Show Twitter account tweet out, hey, tune into the fourth quarter of the Colts-Steelers Thanksgiving night game. Here's the exact time the commercial, the Walmart spot, will be shown. The second break of the fourth quarter, because that's what management told us.
Mm-hmm.
Second break of the fourth quarter goes by. Third break goes by. Fourth break goes by. There's 5 minutes left in the game. A couple of us thought that maybe it got dropped late and it wasn't going to run, which would have been so funny if it didn't run at all. That would have been
that would be just like us.
Very us.
Yeah, shoot a Walmart commercial and then it doesn't air. After we tell everyone.
What'd you think of how it ran?
I didn't see it.
You still haven't seen it?
No. Is it good?
I thought it was great.
You did?
Yeah.
Do you want to play it?
We could, yeah. I think if TV wants to hit that.
Oh, okay. Do we have a little bit of it? The only thing I cared about was Fritzy trying to pronounce Walmart. Walmart.
Fritzy's always the best part.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Okay.
Dude, stressed?
Yeah, a little. Gift-giving season. I need some help.
Come on, DP, that's easy.
Easy? Okay. Where would I find a 12-foot enclosed round trampoline?
Walmart.
All right, but where do I get
a Dell gaming laptop? Walmart.
All right, nice. But how about a
Star Wars Millennium Falcon?
Walmart? Okay, smart guys. I'm thinking of a cozy yet festive garment.
Like an elf-themed adult sleep onesie? Walmart has it.
And free shipping to the store plus new deals daily.
How about a mug that says Dan Patrick's #1?
Got it.
When did you guys get so competent? And can we buy this stuff right now?
A, we've got a lot of free time. And 2, Walmart Cyber Week starts tonight.
There you go, bud. Now you can focus on the things that really matter.
My hair?
Yeah, all right.
Emotional.
Yeah, it's good. I still love Fritzy. Walmart. Who says it that way?
I think you have to get the repetition of shooting those over and over and over again. That I don't know if we have behind the scenes and we could just show him 150 times in a row.
Walmart.
And it,
we should just put that on a loop there. Yeah. All right. So I'm in New York yesterday, and I mentioned that I had a story about a rock and roll band. I took my family to the what was it? Like a pop-up Rolling Stone museum that they have in the West Village. And it has concert footage and a lot of their instruments there. And they got Andy Warhol artwork of Jagger, the album covers. It's an hour and a half or so tour. And it was great. But I'm going through the tour, and my son is so upset because he wants to be watching the Ohio State-Michigan game. This is the only time I could get the tour. And we're watching the Ohio State-Michigan game in the Rolling Stones Museum as we're going along with all this, memorabilia. And then he goes, Dad, Look, Samuel, like we're talking about this and other people are saying, oh, look, there's Charlie Watt's drum kit over here. And there's, oh, look at Jagger's outfit. And we're yelling and screaming because of how the Ohio State-Michigan game ended. Not the best way to take it in, but certainly memorable there. And if you get a chance, you're any kind of Rolling Stones fan. They got a lot of great memorabilia there, including what Jagger wore when I saw them, when he wore John Chiara's football jersey, the Eagles defensive back. I don't know why can anybody help me with that? He wore number 21, and it was an Eagles defensive back. He wore that in concert. All right, final hour coming up, including Rich Eisen from the NFL Network here on the Dan Patrick Show.
Thanks for listening to Dan Patrick On Demand.
That is a noble gesture.
Now you can listen to DP and the guys 24/7 on danpatrick.com.
That's pretty impressive.
Stay tuned for the latest AP News headlines from Podcast One, right after this. When shopping for car insurance, consider this. Geico has been saving people money on car insurance for over 75 years. So if you're serious about savings, it's simple. Go to geico.com. After 75 years, they know how to save you money.
AP Update. I'm Rita Foley. President-elect Donald Trump is tweeting that he's leaving his business empire to focus on being the nation's 45th president, bowing to pressure to avoid potential conflicts of interest between governing and profiting in the private sector. Trump tweeted this morning, I will be leaving my great business in total in order to fully focus on running the country, in order to make America great again. While I am not mandated to do this under the law, he tweets, I feel it is visually important as president to in no way have a conflict of interest with my various businesses. He said legal documents are being crafted which take him completely out of business operations. He adds that the presidency is a far more important task. The tweets this morning from President-elect Donald Trump. AP Update, I'm Rita Foley.